UK election now, and we're joined from Melbourne by Craig Dillon, who's a digital strategist and Boris Johnson advisor visiting the country. Thanks for joining us, Craig. Why on earth are you in Australia and not in the UK at the moment?
Well, the election was a bit of a surprise, so I booked this trip to see my family out in Albury a long time before we ever had the election. So I committed to it. I'm here and I'm working at the same time. But it's actually quite good because obviously while they're all asleep, we can be awake and enjoying the thing, and then I'll work throughout the night. So
you're actually working on Boris Johnson's digital media campaigning and strategy while you're in the country?
Absolutely. I mean, what we're focusing on the most of the time now is the individual candidates throughout the country, because, you know, not that many people actually get to vote for Boris Johnson. It's more about voting for your local MPs. So it's the whole campaign, really. All
right. Well, just before we get into it, how are you enjoying the heat there in Melbourne today?
Fantastic. It's very hot. When I arrived, it wasn't as hot as I was expecting, but this is much more like it. This is what I was expecting.
You get a couple of days of it, you'll change your mind. But tell us about the election campaign here. Is it all about Brexit, and to what degree are other issues affecting voter choices?
Yeah, I mean, they're calling it the Brexit election because really it is the main one. And it's crazy to think that actually we've had an election in between the Brexit vote and, you know, in today's vote. There was an election in 2017 that they tried to, again, not really discuss Brexit. And that's been the Labour Party strategy, is that they don't really want to acknowledge that. But the thing that we're hearing across the country is that people are really sick of Brexit. I imagine you guys are sick of hearing about it over here, and you can't imagine what people in the UK are sick of hearing. So,
well, just get it done. Let's have a look at a tweet here from Boris Johnson. It might be a tweet that you've put together, but this is very much the message we're seeing from Boris Johnson. There's tweets like this: 4 days to go, let's get Brexit done. So, and here we have him with a selfie with people saying, team selfie, let's get Brexit done. Is that the focus of the campaign, to basically, apart from the issue itself and the fact that people have already voted for this in a referendum 3 years ago, but just to get it off the agenda? If you're sick of talking about this thing, vote Tories and get it done?
Basically, because, you know, a vote for any other party really is going to probably result in another hung parliament, and they're going to then have another referendum, and they're going to, you know, it would be a complete mess. It would be genuinely be a disaster for the UK if any other party but the Conservatives do get in. So, and I think
you would say that as a Tory advisor, of course. But tell me about the other issues here. Labor, I don't know how closely you would have watched in the UK what happened in the Australian election. But Jeremy Corbyn is doing a very similar thing to what the Australian Labor Party did, and that is he's made himself a big target. He's got very radical, hard-left policies, and that, of course, would create opportunities for you on social media and elsewhere in the campaign to attack Labor.
Exactly, and the problem we've got with Labour is that they genuinely have literally promised the world to people. You know, if you look at the list of promises they've put out, it's, you know, if the media weren't scrutinising this stuff, any sort of normal person would just think, wow, this is fantastic. Like, this is going to be free, that's going to be, everything's free. And it's been a real challenge to actually counter those things and you know, present the alternatives, because offering free things to people is quite an easy way to win people's, you know, love. But actually, you know, it's not as simple as that, and it's been quite a challenge to remind people. And we've seen, even from the start of this campaign, where the Labour Party was so far behind when Boris called the election, and they have really come up in the polls. You know, no one's complacent in the UK. There is still a big chance that this could not result in Boris winning. So, you know, it's been a real challenge.
Yeah, there looks to be a tightening in the contest. As you say, Labor's vote improving, to the extent where you look like you could still have a hung parliament, and perhaps the Tories having to find other parties to help hold government. Is that the thing that you and Boris Johnson most fear?
Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It would be a disaster, because not only are there not that many other parties that would probably be willing to join a coalition at the moment. You know, the Lib Dems have completely collapsed. Their campaign was the Stop Brexit campaign. That was, it was quite a simple cut at the start. If you were against Brexit, you voted Lib Dem. If you were for Brexit, you voted Tory. But, you know, it hasn't really happened with the Lib Dems. Their vote has sort of collapsed across the country. So that would usually be, you know, there was a coalition with Tories and Lib Dems in 2015. That could probably be, you know, another thing that happened. But it just doesn't look like there's much chance of that happening again.
Tell us about Boris Johnson's social media strategy, digital media strategy that you've been closely involved in. I mean, he loves a camera. He loves the centre of attention. He's very much a performer. And we do see a lot of him on Facebook and on Twitter really just hamming it up. Has this helped him cut through to people, or does it turn off your more staid, traditional conservative supporters?
No, I mean, absolutely. Well, you know, people, especially in the UK, conservative voters tend to be older. And a lot of people think, oh, social media, there's no old people on that. But actually, over 60% of over 60-year-olds in the UK check Facebook every single day. So, you know, it is a real opportunity to reach those core audiences. But also, it's been the messages of positivity. What we've seen from the other side is very scary. It's all about, you know, Boris is going to sell the NHS to Trump and all of these crazy things that they keep driving home. But actually, Boris is saying, you know, unleash Britain's potential. Let's embrace the future. Let's change things. So there's two different ways, but those positive messages really resonate on social media much better than the fear-mongering that the other side have been trying to do.
So how do you go in the UK in ensuring that the messages put about on social media by the parties and by third parties, if you like, by political lobby groups, how do you ensure that on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, the facts are given a good run, that you're not inundated with fake news?
Well, yeah, that is obviously a big problem, and we've seen it being a big problem. I don't think it's been that big of an issue in this election, especially with, you know, Facebook, for example, made a lot of changes. You can now go on and look at any ad that anyone has published. You can see all ads that the Conservative Party are running, that Labour Party are running. It's all on the Facebook ads library. So I think that's changing. I think also what people are realising is that it just doesn't work anymore. People are getting really, you know, savvy to this stuff. They know when they see some fake thing that's obviously not real. You know, there was a big thing we had a bunch of Photoshop tweets by Jeremy Corbyn that people were sharing, but immediately people were like, he never would have said that, you know. So I think people are clocking onto it a little bit more and becoming a bit more aware of the fake news.
Well, Craig Dillon, thanks for joining us.